Welcome back to the 2023 Azalea Open presented by Cape Fear Games. Really appreciate Sublime Flight for capturing this for you, me, and
Mr. Gage Stiles, back again.
We're back again for the back nine. It is currently pouring down rain. We've got a tie at the top of the leaderboard. It'll be Scott Conway leading the way on hole 10. Gage, tell us about this hole.
So this one's another one where it's all about placement. Kind of a soft mid-range backhand hyzer. Just want to land in the fairway.
Yeah, something pushing a little bit left out of your hand. We'll see if Jordt can execute that here. Oh.
I feel like that's
too soon.
Yeah. Whoa!
Wow. This is Kevin Jones.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but this is John here. He's looking to execute a soft hyzer. It's hard to throw soft in the rain, I feel like.
Yeah, and I feel like with Jordt throwing just before him, and maybe just didn't get enough grip on the disc, slipped out early. John's pushing a little bit too hard with his thumb and his fingers. And then just turn that one over.
Exactly. And that right there. So just, I don't know how many times MJ has won this tournament. It's like eight or nine times. I was looking around the room to see if anyone had that stat. But you can just tell by that shot he threw right there.
Oh, wow.
That
was
slingshot, engaged.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was not in the ideal spot for anything. And to pull out that shot, that was nice.
Yeah. That actually was incredible. And it does seemingly filter to the right like that, but I'd like to see someone go out there and try that. If you're near this course, go set up where Jordt was and see if you can get a forehand there. Scott's going to try to work his way around the corner here. He actually does have a gap from there. The hole is not terribly challenging as long as you don't go early left or if you have a crazy forehand. If you're as long as you're sort of on the fairway, you're going to have a shot up to it.
Yeah, with only being 440 feet, like if you just split the hole in half, you're good.
Yeah, and it really is 200 feet down the middle, 203 down the middle, and you would have a 40-footer.
And I don't, like, off the tee, unless you're throwing some crazy forehand flex, there's no way of getting a putt, so I don't think on this one it pays to get the extra distance off the drive.
I believe Taylor Rafalowski did get it down there for a 2. I'm not sure if he made it, though. But I can tell you who did make it down there on his second shot would be not Gage. Oof. Mr.
The slingshot
Gage.
was
the slingshot.
Engaged.
Gage does not have the slingshot.
Oh,
engaged.
nice. We get to see it again. Just so you can know exactly where he was at, so you can try and recreate this.
This is Micheal Jordt.
But I could do that too.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm so glad he made that putt. That is an incredible birdie save. What a guy. Look at the smile on his face. He knows he got away with something there.
Just playing disc golf in the rain.
Yeah. You only get a smile on your face when it's raining this hard when you do something like that.
As MJ is mad that his disc is wet and shaking it off, even though he got the birdie.
Yeah.
And leading the tournament.
Once again, he's gotten the lead back. We're going on to hole 11 here. 472 feet. And here we go. This is a hole that you're going to want to push right out of this gap. Not too far right. Jordt's doing the opposite. Yes. A little left, but it'll be fine.
And I feel like that could have been the rain. Too much grip lock it, push it straight, rather than just a comfortable... Because the gap is pretty wide, so with him being as good of a forehand, I don't see why he missed that gap.
Agreed. And yep, that's how you do it, backhand and or forehand. Now, what we're going to want to see here, let's see if Scott can pull this off. You're going to want to push it just a little more to the right. Not much, but being a little more right could open up that gap for possibly a skip shot in. You don't have to play it so high to get in on your second shot.
And I like Conway. It seemed like he was throwing slightly more stable disc than MJ, which it's easier to commit when you know your disc is going to fight back to the left and not be scared of that OB, to push it further right where you have, it opens up the gap for your second shot.
Yeah, and you can see MJ here almost skipped up to the basket and played a little bit of danger there. There's OB down there to the right. It looks like Jordt's electing to go high as well. Kind of a theme here when you're more on the inside left rather than the outside right here. Kind of crazy to think that's only 15 feet from left to right, and it's that much of a difference on your second shot.
But that's this course. It's all about kind of placement on your first shot and then making a decision on your second shot. It's actual golf that you have to play out here.
Yeah, and you need to have that mindset when you go to Castle Hayne, because if you just look at the T sign, you say 470 straight right. It could be, and that's why you're not playing well here. You need to go and check out every landing zone and see exactly where you want to be, because you need to be in the exact right spot at the exact right time. And if you're not, unfortunately, things like this happen, which you shouldn't, but that's disc golf, right? MJ here from about probably 70 feet, it looks like, maybe 60. It's far, nonetheless.
Yeah, maybe.
That disc was in the air for a while.
That was nice.
That's an incredible putt, and he's gonna take at least one more stroke on Scott there, starting off. Getting one on the first hole in the back nine. They were tied going into it. Jordt just couldn't capitalize on the birdie putt there.
Here's Scott. Nice putt. It's good that he stayed focused after feeling like he threw a good tee shot, a good up shot, and then just kind of bad luck get you not only the roll where you thought you might be parked, now you're 20 feet away, but also out of bounds. Absolutely. So that was good when you're in a battle to stay focused and make that putt, and not just get mad and frustrated that I just rolled out of bounds.
Right, and great pop, great extension there by John to get the birdie as well on his putt. This is hole 12. You've got kind of like what I'd like to consider as a Medusa tree. It's kind of got all the little things growing out. It's like 4 trees in one. But essentially, you want to throw it straight at that tree and have it finish right.
Yeah, if you thought just an extra 15 feet mattered on the previous hole where you landed, a lot more important on this one to give yourself a clean second shot.
Yeah, the fairway going down to the hole is tight, to say the least. It's very tight. Jordt just wants to play it tight the whole way. So
aggressive.
He goes inside the line. If you're trying to play the course,
or you could throw it on the train, have it take you down the fairway, and then drop you off by the basket.
That is an excellent point.
Here's Scott.
I think he might have caught a tree there. That should have finished a little bit more right, and then it did. I think he might have caught a tree. You couldn't really tell.
But he stayed fortunate where he still has the straight tunnel shot to get enough distance on the second shot.
That is an incredible shot from his position. John, he didn't get around the corner enough, so this is what you don't want to do. He got saved by that tree. You don't want to have to push it left at all, because if you get down there, you're going to be going for par.
And it felt like he was throwing a lot faster than he should have. If you can't see the basket on your second shot, there's no purpose in throwing a faster disc.
Absolutely, especially when you're not wanting to push it that far to the left. Jordt, he's capitalizing on being in the middle. Not only capitalizing, just being an amazing forehander.
Oh yeah, that's probably
next to the basket.
Yeah, that was nice.
John here, and look at how tight this is. This is what it looks like. This is giving you a great first-person perspective of how tight it looks right there down the fairway. That's the fairway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is extremely narrow, and it does open up here to the basket, but you've got to make it a couple hundred feet down that alley. Here's Scott for a big putt to make up a stroke, and he just puts it right on the number 12 there. Let's see what MJ can do. Can he take another stroke on Scott? They're just going to match each other, I guess. All right, here's Jordt for an eagle. This could be, maybe, if you're as good as a forehander as Jordt, one of the easiest eagles on most courses that you'll play. It's short and sweet. 2 shots with perfect control can get you an eagle. It's probably how all eagles happen. 2 perfect shots. The second shot's a little longer than the first, though. And 2 super easy birdies. I'd like to see that be a par 4. maybe in the future. Nonetheless, awesome eagle, 2 birdies, -4 for the card. Really awesome. He's going to show us how it's done, going right down the middle.
This comes out.
This fairway.
Perfect. A little long.
Still an incredible shot. Now you guys can see the gap that he was hitting. Forehand, maybe easier than a backhand.
Correct. And I do think the front 9 plays easier on a backhand, or there's more backhand shots, and then this final stretch, there's more forehand. So I'm curious how both MJ and Conway will fare when this hole and others, forehand is for sure the play.
Absolutely. And MJ doing it different than Scott does. So MJ would prefer to push something on hyzer and let it flip up. You're not going to see Scott throw too many hyzer flips. He is a player that is not only a player, but a person that is looking to do something very direct. And, as straightforward as it can be done is what Scott's going to choose. And he also throws his discs like that.
That was a nice kick with John making the backhand work as well.
Yeah. And I thought Kevin Jones had a better forehand. No, I'm just kidding. No, John has a great forehand, electing to throw backhand through a tight gap.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, Scott, no problem. He makes putts like that all the time.
Shout out to you.
Me make putts like that? No. Oh, Jordt just he didn't warm up the slingshot on that putt. Unfortunately, kept it a little low.
So maybe it is a backhand hole if the 3 people who threw backhand are getting the birdie.
It's a really, really interesting point, and once again, why we see that backhanders are leading the tournament. Sorry, Jordt. MJ's still got a 2-stroke lead going into hole 14. This is a challenging hole for a forehand, and I'd like to say, I don't want to say impossible, but it feels like an impossible hole for a backhand.
It feels like hole 9 just stretched out another 200 feet to begin the hole.
And less airspace
to
make it work. You can see Scott, the distaste in his face, having to do a backhand on this hole. So hopefully we're going to see this here. Remember, baseball background from Scott, winding it up. He needs 1 hop to go right.
Usually the crow hop happens before you throw it.
And he got no hop. If you want to get that thing to hop, you're going to want to take something and keep it a little more, if you're right-handed, tilted towards 2:33 o'clock. The only problem with what we consider to be a hook thumber is it's just not going to go that far before it starts to go right.
You need this one to go probably 300 feet straight and then get a good skip to the right. We see with that shot.
Yep, the 2 forehands definitely taking advantage here. MJ actually snuck through some trees. We'll see how he can capitalize here. That's a long bit there. Scott, I think he may have just pushed a little too far straight.
Oh, getting man on.
Wow, dead center.
That's a man on a mission.
And he needs to be. It's hole 14. We're running out of holes here. He's 2 strokes back. Just a little undercommitted by John there. And Jordt looking to make a rare birdie on hole 14. Well done.
Making sure it gets over the cage.
Yep.
After probably an easier putt on the previous hole.
Over the cage because he was engaged. Very nice. Jordt's going to steal the box from Micheal. Johansen, no problem. We'll just swap one Micheal for another Micheal here. This is really interesting hole, having to get around this corner. You definitely need height on this shot to make sure that you don't go too far straight. If you can get up the fairway a good ways, you'd be happy, but it's just really hard to get up the fairway that far when you throw it as high as most of these players will.
I think this is one where you just sacrifice the distance on your tee shot and knowing you can keep it in the fairway and then attack on your second shot.
Or you do that.
That's just knowing your disc.
Yeah,
being able to throw it that high, drift it right, and know it's going to have a little bit of finish.
That is way up there, but sorry to interrupt. Keep going with that thought, Gage.
Yeah, this was one where you just want to make sure you get in the fairway where you can have a shot towards the basket. Because if you get, or on your drive, if you're trying to get an extra 50 feet, the likelihood that you're going to actually stay in the fairway drops significantly.
So I just want to make a point here that MJ threw a Comet, I believe, and he did that incredible shot. And then Scott, he saw him throw that Comet, and he just so happened to pick the Comet out of his bag that I gave him, and then threw it further than MJ. So the power of the Comet is real. The power of a PB Comet is even realer. No, but it was a nice run of Comet. It looked like it was a little less understable than MJ's possibly. Helped him push out just a little bit further up the fairway. Looks like we got a gallery here. And a fancy watch from Jordt. Wow, that's a good rollout. That's a really good rollout. He was a little inside there. You definitely don't want to be inside on the right side. It is incredibly thick through there, especially when you're trying to get through there for a par.
And being tucked in on this right side makes you have to throw a lot higher to get the distance back right. So I'm sure they would wish they were on the left side of the fairway to open up the end of the shot.
And I believe this is this a par 4 or a par 5 in this pin location?
I believe it's a par 4.
Okay. In years past, this has been a par 5, which made it a little bit of an easier birdie. You know, sometimes a rare eagle. You can get up there for an eagle here, but you have to be where Scott and MJ were, and then have more or less a forehand to get all the way there. Or that.
Nice putt.
Or a really good putt.
I feel like when his circle 2 putting is on, he can just get on a roll. But I feel like it's going to be a little too late for this tournament.
Yeah, and you know, Jordt definitely has been a contender at most, if not all, tournaments, and he's put a smackdown on pretty much all the talent in North Carolina at some point. Scott, it's just as clutch as can be. He is definitely Mr. Clutch. I would say in North Carolina, it's Dan Hastings and Scott Conway, in my mind, are two of the most clutch. MJ, he's been Mr. Clutch. But
and for them to be in a battle and still making circle 2 putts right after each other when the pressure's on, this is fun.
Yeah, this is incredible to watch. John just looks like he's having a little bit of a rough time on the putting green. It's hard to putt good when you've got those two guys just doing that all over the place. They're making it look way too easy. MJ's not giving Scott an inch to play with here. He just keeps matching him. He took those 2 strokes starting the back 9, and he will not give them back.
This is a shorter hole for the finishing stretch, but I feel like it's a must get for both of these guys. Tight gap to begin with, and then just give yourself a putt. Oh,
MJ, did he just skip off the basket?
That's what it seems.
Wow.
Let's see this again. Perfect flip up.
I'm thinking that this little piece of cabbage he caught might have bumped him. Yeah, it took just enough off to keep. He might have been going a little bit long if he didn't hit both of those things.
There was a flag on top of the basket.
And you can see here Scott really trying to throw it like a direct line. I do think it's a little bit easier to hit a gap when you can toss it on a little hyzer and let the disc do the work. It gets you into maybe a slightly more natural throwing position. And I think that's why MJ's so good at every course, especially this one. Scott, obviously, great thrower. It's just a demanding gap to hit with a really straight shot. But he gets his berg up there, no problem.
It's still one that you want to get with a tough battle. The pressure's on to hit that gap.
Yeah, and as a finishing stretch hole, this is it's right there. You just have to throw it right at the basket and put it there. There's nothing challenging other than a tight gap to hit. It's not long at all. MJ is gonna add another stroke to his lead, and he's gonna be up 3 strokes with 2 to play. It is not looking so good for Scott at this point.
This one, hole 17, 480, par 4. it's there to get a 2 if you throw the driver off the tee. There's a gap on the right side, which MJ hits, but you just need your disc to flip up a little bit more and carry towards the basket to give you a look for the 2.
So this is a hole, and as I teach disc golf, I always tell people you don't have to go big off the tee if you're playing it as a par 4. You can actually go short off the tee here, put yourself in a position, and then go bigger on your second shot. Now, maybe that's not the right play for this hole in particular, but if you think about par 4s at your local courses and you struggle, keep in mind that you could throw a shorter shot first and then go big on a second shot. Versus a lot of people screw up on the very first one. You'd rather screw up on your second shot and get yourself down there, maybe 30 feet away from the basket, rather than 30 feet away from the landing zone off the tee.
I completely agree with that. Just given the situation, final round in a tournament where this is one, you're 3 strokes back with 2 holes to play. Obviously, you don't want to give it away, but this is one where you can pick up 2 strokes.
Oh yeah, and unfortunately Scott just doesn't have the distance to get it there. You hate to wish for MJ to have a mishap, but unless Scott's throwing it in, the only thing that's going to give Scott a stroke here is MJ not getting a birdie. Just because it's Scott's nature to throw it 100 feet short, make an upshot, and get a birdie, which usually is enough. Just not enough when MJ's got a 3-stroke lead with 1 to go.
And I guess we'll see hole 18, but there is the possibility of not making the initial gap, and then all you have is a pitch out backwards.
So I want to make a point about John's putt real quick. It just looks like he's having a hesitation to use his wrist and get the putt spinning. It is what I think everyone considers the yips. When you're not willing to spin the disc and you're just using your arm. So keep that in mind. If you get the yips, just add a little more spin, a little less arm. Hopefully you'll get the disc flying and it won't wobble so much in the air. Here we are, 18, final hole. MJ's up by 3. What's the shot shape here, Gage?
This one, I feel like it plays longer than it is, but it's probably an understable fairway, 10-speed. Throw it high and just have it drift all the way right.
Like that?
Exactly.
You would like to, now if we pan back to the tee, if you turn it over immediately, you're going to find the right side. You do need to swing it out wide and try to let the disc work its way in, or you just need to have the right amount of anhyzer to not go early right. If you have a slingshot like this, you can probably get it all the way up there. That's just incredible. And you can see John's no slouch with his forehand, and he looks like he tried harder than Jordt did, and Jordt just boink all the way up there inside the circle. But yeah, you don't want to throw too straight off the tee. A lot of players do make that mistake where they try to throw straight hyzer flip to turn right, and it just basically goes straight.
MJ did well to forehand, actually. Just now noticed that, but just to give himself a putt and not make it too difficult with the 2 strokes on the last hole. Scott with a nice birdie there to give a little bit of pressure.
Just for good measure, he's gonna just make 1 more jump putt. Why not?
Same with Jordt? Question mark? Of course.
1 backhand birdie and 1 forehand birdie.
Both impressive.
Yes, both super impressive, and both exactly the way that they should be done. I think those are probably the only 2 shot shapes that really can get you there. Did MJ just get it? Was that a birdie or a par there for him?
That was, yeah, his first shot was slightly in the woods and then a nice up shot.
That's right. I don't know. So it looks like MJ's going to take it down once again.
That's all he needed.
Yeah, the 20th time MJ's won the Azalea Open. Not actually, but close to it. Scott just couldn't get those 2 strokes back initially from the back 9. And then Jordt had an incredible round, 8 under, 9 under for Scott, 10 under for MJ. What a round.
I had dreams of coming back for the win, but man, I'll take
2 scorecards. They're good.
I'll take a good round as the other. Yeah. You guys still lit it up despite the weather.
Scott wouldn't let me not have to light it up. Scott wasn't allowing me to not have to light it up the way.
Yeah, come on now. Are you serious? You're working for this one.
Oh, I expect to. I've only had one cakewalk, and that was the year I blitzed it with the 49 and crushed everybody.
Yeah,
all the rest
49,
of
good lord.
all the rest of them have been pretty tight.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Whew, hell yeah.
That's fun.
That was on the old original layout too, wasn't it?
The OG original layout.
Yeah, that was the year I think I beat Schebby's 4-round
Playoffs.
We're going to go into a playoff. We're going to go from one historical player to the next. Started with MJ. We're going to finish with Zilla. No. Brian Schweberger and Robzilla. MP50 playing off, starting on hole 1. It's not wet anymore. It's beautiful out. Everyone came over to hole 1's tee to watch this epic playoff. What are you gonna throw here, Gage? If you were in a playoff, what would you throw on this hole?
I guess it depends on who the other person is, whether I'm trying to get the 2 or not.
It looks like Schwebby's trying to get the 2.
That's it.
Yeah. I feel like this one, like I said on the front 9, only 2 birdies in MPO. So I feel like this one might just be get a par, take it to the next hole.
Right. I agree, and Zilla is doing the thing you can't do. You got to turn it right, just not that early. Check out Circle's Edge. Robzilla, a great guy, great company. He's such a sweetheart, and but Schwebby knows what he's doing here. He knows how to win. He has 400 plus of these wins.
Correct.
Zilla has got to make this. And it just tickles off the cage.
But he did give it enough to get over the cage, which is what you have to do.
Yeah, Schwebby, like we said, he's been here before. No problem.
Oh.
No problem. And we've got 2 champions that have won this tournament many a time. Schwebby has won this tournament plenty. MJ as well.
Thank y'all for coming. Thanks for playing through the weather. That was awesome.
Wasn't my fault.
It was a little bit of weather. Let's go with MP60. Second place, Rudy Dixon, $145. First place, MP60, Ed Garrett, the Big Jack. $255.
Ed would like to thank myself and Mark Barber for not playing that division.
You're welcome.
MP50, 6th place, Chuck Myers, 120.
I'm old. Take your
Talk.
Don't forget to thank your sponsor.
30 seconds, put that bag, that carton back in my truck.
Oh yes, anybody needs a cart? Yeah. I gave up on mine in the rain. Anyway, thanks guys. Thank you. Great playing.
Yes,
If anybody needs discs, y'all gotta go to Cape Fear Games. Cape Fear Games.
Take your game. MP50, 5th place, Mark Barber. Barber, 170.
Barber down!
What's up, brother?
Circle's Edge. Where 5th place is made. Proud of you, man. Proud of you. Ed, you're welcome. I beat you by 17 strokes, but I played with the young guns this weekend.
MP50, 4th place, Kevin Gaskins, 215. 3rd place, Scott Crouch, 275. Oh, we had a playoff, MP50, 1st place. Brian Schwebby and Robzilla, they decided to split their winnings. Oh! Yeah. Way to go, way to go. $495. $25 apiece. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Brian.
Schebby is this guy, man. He's really good. If you make mistakes, he's not, and he's going to get you. So, Schebby, way to go! Congratulations, you're the man. You really are. In the big jet.
Hey, let's give it up for Alan and all his crew for putting on this awesome tournament. Bro, Innova, they win.
On MP40, 7th place tie, it looks like. Ron Panisi, John Monty, Moncrief, most match are $52 apiece. 6th place, John Grant. 5th place, DP, Darren Presley.
Way to go, Santa Claus.
Thank you.
Fake ass.
4th place, MPO, John Carroll, $200.
You don't look 40.
3rd place, Brian Parker, $275.
Hey, for your games as always. Thank you so much, everybody.
2nd place, Dan Moles, $385.
Hey, holy moly!
And the winner in the big check. I call them trophies, but we gotta have the big checks. 1st place, MPO, $550, Fred Jarrett.
Thank you, Janet. Alan, appreciate it. And most important, thank you, Schebby.
Can I have
all the guys
our
that jumped
lady
ship and played in the
competitors
40s.
come this week? All of them.
Posies.
Randy Roy, where you at?
Randall!
Randy!
Right there.
Randy Roy. Thank Randy Roy.
You slide nose, you. I hear you.
Okay, now that the flowers are passed out, FPO 2nd place, $195, Lane King.
Thank you to all the awesome FPO players, and thank you to the club for supporting FPO. Throw MVP discs.
FPO 1st place, Megan Goldsby, $330 in the bank.
Thank you, Cape Fear Games, and huge big shout out to Darcy and her husband Erin for housing us, and I mean, she's our competitor and she was just so open. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for my 3 sponsors. I hope I remember them. Carvella Bags, Huckware, and Eastern Disc Golf. Thank you guys.
All right, MPO 14th place, Alec Harps, $110. 13th place, Dylan Bluter. Dillian.
Your name's
125, Dylan. I'll hold on to it. I'll be Dylan.
Keep going.
12th place, Matt Thompson, $100. 10th place tie, Kevin Duke, Luke Hancock, $152 apiece. 8th place, Alex Weatherall. 7th place, 220, Philip Bartholomew.
Hey, thank you to Alan. Thanks to the new Hanover crew that put this together. Thank you to my beautiful fiance for putting up with me. And first time ever, throw whatever you want.
Yeah! 6th place, 255, Tony Mo Reese. 5th place, Blake Poland, 305. NPO 4th place, 365, John Blackburn. Congratulations, And thank you guys. Thank you to New Hanover Disc Golf Club. So awesome. First Azalea. Yeah. He's coming back. Third place, Michael Jordt, 470.
Jordt!
Congrats, brother. Good luck.
Young Jeezy.
Second place, Scott Conway, 640.
This place is pretty special to me. Most everybody here knows it because they've been around for a long time. Everybody's here that like had a hand in me even getting involved in the sport. So it's a perfect place for me to put the sport on pause for a minute. Thank you guys for everything that you do. Boz came back. He's one of the first people I ever met here. I handed him a written check for my first Azalea tournament in 2006. Super special to have you here, Boz. Thanks for showing up. Dude, go play with the old guys.
We got a kind of a special announcement real quick. Hold up, MJ.
Yeah, Mike.
You have something you'd like to add?
I do. Every year we honor Disc Golf Hall of Fame club member in New Hanover, our Disc Golf Club. And there's been 2 other people. This is the 3rd recipient. Rudy won it the first year, I won it the second year. But truly the guy that should have won it the first year is here today. Because he's the one that started the whole shooting match in New Hanover County. So, and I want to thank Darcy too, because I think, Darcy, you're the one that brought it up in the club to identify Hall of Famers within our club. I see that North Carolina is now adopting that, not from us obviously, but, and it's good to see because North Carolina is rich in disc golf history and deep in disc golf history. So it's an honor for me to be able to talk a little bit about Boz today. Boz went to North Carolina State, and a roommate of his a roommate of his suggested they go out and play frisbee golf, disc golf, and so Boz went out. But it wasn't love at first flight for Boz. So, but he played a couple more times, and then he went to work at a restaurant and happened to work with some other people that were truly into disc golf. McCracken was one of those people. And then Boz started getting into it. Anybody that knows Boz knows that once he gets into something, he's into it, buddy. He's a musician. If he's into it, he's into it. If he's not into it, he's not into it. And that's, Boz has been kind of on the shelf for the last 10 years. He's a carpet layer, back issues, so he doesn't play disc golf anymore. Hoping to get him back out here coaching because he's a great coach. He's a great mentor. And it's really a tribute because Boz is the one that started our 501c3 in New Hanover Disc Golf Club. He was Joe Mez before Joe Mez. That's right. He and Billy Crump. He was the film guy. He was the one that did all the filming when Crump was commentating. Did all the editing. Got tired of running around in the woods carrying a camera. He gave that up. So Boz has done it all, and it really has started in New Hanover County. So without any other further ado, I'd like to announce Michael Bozik III, lovingly called as Boz. Woo!
This is beautiful. Most of the happy memories of my life came from this course, and childhood too. But I've made lifelong friends out here. And I've had my perspective about life and the world we live in change through the goodness of all the people like you. And I don't regret it at all. And I am thrilled that the club has kept going and kept its strength. And that we're kind of a little hot spot and a secret spot here in North Carolina. And that people keep coming back because they love the course and they love the vibes. And the money's gotten pretty good too. And you know, I guess that's about it. I know you all want to wrap this up and go home, but I'm truly honored. I really am. I met some new people out here today. I'm very impressed with how you guys got it together and are making it happen. So that being said, thank you all.
Without any further ado, drum roll please. NPO first place, Michael Johansen, and the
It's good to be the king.
Well, like Scott said, I got into it in college, and that was in the early 90s. I moved back down to Wilmington, no disc golf course, nothing. So I kind of let it lay for a few years. I was in a band, and we were touring and making demos and trying to be rock stars. And then that ran its course, and I just woke up one day and I was like, I'd like to start playing disc golf again. So I went to my closet, dug out my discs, went down to the local park and just started throwing in the fields. And I was driving down Gordon Road one day, saw they were putting a new park in. This was in this was right around 2000, and it clicked, and I was like, okay, I'm sending an email to the county. I did that, and I sent an email to Innova, to Harold, and I got very quick responses from them. And at that point, I was like, well, this is going to happen. And I never had another doubt. All I did was facilitate, keep the communication going between the county and Innova. And Harold was huge. He came down here, he spent time, and Harold Duvall did this masterpiece. He made the most out of a landlocked piece of land. We don't have a lot of hills, but he made it look like we got hills. He put as much strategy as he could into a wooded course, which is very difficult to do, and I think that's 75–80% of it. And so got the club rolling, did that for a few years, went out on the road filming disc golf, tried that for a few years, and then eventually it all ran its cycle, and I just came back, and I'm just enjoying life now.
Oh, that's awesome. So if you're getting into disc golf in the early 2000s, you were like CE plastic era. What were you throwing back in those days?
Well, everything, they had just, the only special plastic they had was the KC stuff. The KC, the Ken Climo plastic. And it was usually out of the range of the poor disc golfer. So we were just throwing basic plastic. And I remember playing in Raleigh on a particularly rocky course. It was not unusual to actually crack the disc, slam in half. The plastic was a bit more brittle. And then in a very short time period, the pro plastic and CE and all that stuff started coming out. It was just like a tidal wave, and it took over the whole industry.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that I think Millennium like kind of had some of the early CE. If players could go back and just scoop up every disc on the shelf, they'd be millionaires right now.
If I could have ordered a case of some of that stuff back then, knowing now what I know today, I would have done so. I think Millennium did work with Harold, though. I think they worked with Innova to some degree in developing that, and they may have been a test bed for that new plastic for Innova. I don't know the inside details, but you know it's coming. Materials engineering is usually the last thing people think about in any endeavor, but it's often the most important.
So where are you from originally?
I was born in Maryland, lived there for about 3 years, and then I came down here to Hampstead, right up the road, and I've been in Wilmington ever since.
Nice, nice. So Which beach you like to go to? Carolina, Curie, Wrightsville?
Actually, I like Topsail Beach. I like Topsail
Beach
Beach the best.
Nice.
It's huge. It's probably a little, not quite as built up. You know, Wrightsville Beach is very crowded, but it's beautiful. If you're a people watcher, go to Wrightsville Beach.
Can you tell us a little about the zone driven days and the Clash stuff?
Yeah, I had, through my own little touring around the state and stuff, you just meet people. And I had always thought in the back of my mind, it's a shame that all this wonderful stuff is just going to be forgotten. And I had this urge, I felt like I needed to record it for posterity, for history. So I started recording around the course. I went and bought a cheap little camera, and then eventually I met up with Billy Crump at some point, and we did a project together, and then it just sort of blossomed from there. Zone Driven was, I believe, Jonathan Poole's baby. It was a product line that he was trying to establish, and I guess we sort of all commingled because they were all good friends. We were all good friends, and Charlotte being the mecca that it was, that's where everything kind of started from.
And you said Jonathan Poole, was that right?
With Zone Driven, Jonathan Poole.
And he's the big USDGC guy, right?
That's right. The USDGC, and forgive me if I'm not being 100% accurate, but I think it was kind of his baby. I think he had the dream and the vision, and Harold said, go do it. But let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
The second or third USDGC, I drove my little cheap station wagon to Charlotte, North Carolina, or rather to Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I packed some clothes. I slept in the parking lot. It was cold that night, in the back of my station wagon, because I felt like I had to be here to witness this. And of course it was pretty incredible, seeing that course laid out for the first time and seeing Ken Climo put his stamp on it was amazing. It was a piece of history, and I was lucky to be there.
Yeah, Winthrop Gold is definitely something special. So I'm sure you had a lot of runs with Barry back in the day.
I did get to know Barry. Wonderful guy, peaceful, very intelligent, very insightful. And Barry, if you're out there to listen, you should start teaching. You should start a Barry School of Disc Golf. But I got to know him. He did a little bit of touring with us, and we would try to film stuff where the big boys were, Ken and Barry and Avery and all those cats. And so that's what we did, and it was like being around disc golf royalty. And I just tried to maintain respect and be humble and not bother them too much.
Not sure if you knew, but like whenever Sublime Fight was just getting started, we came out and you were actually out here filming, and so I had filmed Schebby with the masters and everything. Yeah. I did the chase card. Then after you left, I didn't even realize who you were. I was like, if I'd have known that was Boz, I'd have, you know. But like, I was watching these Clash DVDs. Like I had a bunch of them years ago before YouTube took off. So yeah, really appreciate you, man. It's been great. Yeah.
Those were really fun to make. We were right in that transition with technology where everyone was moving to Blu-ray and all this stuff. So we were a little bit behind the curve with that. But I watched some of it the other night, and it looks pretty good. It came across well on YouTube, and it's like watching the old late night movie that you wake up late at night and you flip on the TV and there's this old black and white movie on, and you know it's just got this feeling about it that you just watch it and it grows on you, and it's a piece of history. We did get some history recorded. That was kind of the goal.
Well, it's special to see these champions in their prime. So how does it feel being part of the Hall of Fame?
I'm very honored. I really had kind of faded out from participation with golf and club. I had some little back issues, and so I just took a little different turn in life. And Scott contacted me a few months ago and told me about it, and I was just, it told me that the club was still strong, still growing and vibrant, and it made me feel very happy.
Well, it couldn't happen to a better person. I appreciate all the hard work you've done laying the foundation, and it's good to see people carrying the baton. So thanks again for everything.
And thank you.
Who won the ace pool? Matt Thompson, $180.
It was very wet, but no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, definitely a bunch of rain in the middle and the early portions of that round, but wasn't too bad overall. Thankfully, we didn't have any pauses, but Scott definitely did not allow me to just play safe, smart golf. I had to shoot well to win, so that was a fun battle.
Yeah, he was close to the start, and he kind of hung in there. So, I mean, how do you just keep your composure as it's winding down?
It's kind of one of those courses where there's so many different ways to shoot a good round. You can't just force yourself to go, I need to get this birdie on this hole or whatever. Just keep playing, because craziness can happen, period. I don't think the gap was any bigger than 3 at any point in time. So it was just keep going, head down and finish. Try not to change it too much. Really just try to keep everything the same as you can. The conditions are the conditions. You know, that just means you're now working to keep your disc dry, but it's not anything out of the ordinary that you don't do. You're still trying to get the disc and everything to feel the way you want it to. It just takes a little longer in the rain.
You've got like all these signature discs coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about what you got from Discraft?
We'll do a Discraft. We'll do a run of Comets later in the year, but we also have a bunch of stuff out from Ledgestone. Got some ringers with Ledgestone, and we'll do another run of Comets with them a little later in the year. So it'll be all sorts of stuff dropping.
You still throwing a banger these days?
Oh yeah, no, that's always been my throwing brother. won't take that out of the bag.
With the Comet, I mean, it just seems like you just dial it in. I mean, more than any other disc, it's just nasty.
It fits my throwing style very well. It's just a disc that really mimics what I like to do and how I like to throw, and it's still acts enough like a Frisbee, and I've thrown Frisbees my whole life, so it's very much just a spin rate control disc, and I'm good at doing that.
I heard through the grapevine, I think I might have been at a tournament, and I heard you talking about the Rhino. Did you used to put the Rhino?
Yeah, I was when I was with Innova, and even before it was sponsored by anybody, I putted with Rhino. I liked the low profile putter. That was my putter for the longest time.
Did you ever try the tank back in the day?
Oh, that was the first one that got me started with it. I found a Y2K edition tank, the soft tanks they did, and then I found out it was only a special edition. So I was like, what's the next closest thing? And it was the Rhino, because the tanks were beadless Rhinos, I think.
Now, did you like the soft ones? Or
I prefer the soft ones. I like the Pro Edition, like, was it the Special Edition and the Pro Edition Rhinos they did?
Yeah,
those are the ones
right.
I used.
So you switched to Discraft, and like, what was the story behind the Ringer?
The Ringer was I wanted, I had needed, one part of the thing when I swapped was they had no low profile putters in their thing, and a low profile stable. Everything was deep rimmed and everything, so I didn't like it, and part of the deal was they were going to try to make me make a putter. Not specifically for me, but make a putter. And then the Zone was the first attempt at making a low profile putter, but that ended up just being really nice inside the circle, but pointless outside the circle, but it ended up being an amazing upshot disc they ended up making. And then the Ringer, I think they ended up doing the Ringer in probably like 2010, I think is when it came out, the original Ringer, but it wasn't the GT, so before the thumb track patent ran out. It's basically a Rhino with pretty close to a Rhino, but they shaved the thumb track off essentially, and it's a little thinner. And I think it just has a micro bead. It doesn't have a big bead. And then when the thumb track patent ran out, and I don't remember what year it is, 2012, 13, 14 range when that ran out, that's when you started seeing like other companies like yourself, Caltrop and all those different ones dropped, and then they did their Ringer-GT for me finally.
Yeah, even the Ringer itself had a slight divot. It wasn't quite as pronounced as the...
No, it didn't have that thumb track. It was basically like just flat off the edge, and you could see the difference where the dome came into the shoulder of the disc. It had a little flat spot that was nice, but wasn't quite the same.
So did you feel like once they made that the Ringer with the thumb track and you got the soft plastic, is that your go-to now?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It took them a while because the regular Ringer didn't mold up great in soft plastic. It was enough that it would come out with wavy and too many X-out possibilities, but once they got the Ringer-GT in and finally got it in soft plastic, it's great.
Okay, so you ask, hey, I need a putter, low profile. They hand you a Zone and you're like, what's this?
Oh, it worked. I was actually happy because I had nothing at that point in time. I had actually, a couple times during 08 and 09, I actually called them, was like, I need to putt with a Rhino for a little while. I'm putting like ass. So I had it in the bag off and on for a little while until the I used the zone at like 08 Worlds, and you probably used it for the next 6 months to a year as my putter, but I only used it inside the circle. Outside the circle, still didn't know what I was going to use.
Man, people love the zone. They just love it. And I feel like for the longest time, there wasn't really a rival.
No, not until the Harp and some of the other stuff started coming out, but it's just it's a different style disc, and it's definitely a kind of your utility club. Like, most people don't think of it as a putter, they think of it as an approach disc, but it was originally made as a putter. But it's really a good putter inside the circle. It's a great wind putter.
Any thoughts on the Zone OS?
It's just a meat hook. It's kind of interesting though. It's super, super, super tall, like big shoulder, but I used it for some of the events out in Texas. I definitely used it on a lot of approach shots just because the harder you throw it, the more stable it is. So I can only throw it, a couple hundred feet, so it's kind of nice to have that disc that just stops for you.
I feel like a lot of pros, they're so good, they don't need to sidearm. Do you ever sidearm?
I do a fair amount, not a lot. I don't do it that much on Pro Tour because most of the sidearms they want you to throw are 400 plus, and I just don't have that. I throw a lot of upshot sidearms and out of woods and stuff like that, but not always my best shot.
Well, it's just so cool that the story behind the Rhino to the Zone to the Ringer. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, keep doing it. Everything that's got your name on it is awesome to throw. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Charlotte area.
Yep.
What are your favorites out there?
I play mostly the north side of town, like Hornets Nest, Nevin, Bradford, Brackett's Bluff, those courses. I don't really drive into town that much anymore. It's hard to drive past such good courses to go play more.
You see any sweet new courses you like?
There's tons of them. There's so many new courses around. It's hard to even pick and choose what's new. I'm actually interested. I really want to get up and see some of the ones, the New London and some of the other ones up in Virginia that have been put in that I haven't had a chance to play yet. But like the really crazy new one that's really gotten good is all the Lake Marshall courses. Those three. That's a nice area to go play disc golf now.
Took a break from Azalea for a while. What's the deal?
Well, it was just it just didn't fall on the right dates. It conflicted with Hall of Fame Classic one year, but it conflicted with Jonesboro and some of the Pro Tour events I was doing. But I'm getting older, so I start playing some of the more local stuff again.
You came back with a vengeance and showed them how to do it. Thanks for giving us a good show out there.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's good to be king of the castle again.
All right. Well, hey, best of luck to you in your next tournaments, and have a great season.
Thank you.
Really appreciate everyone for tuning in to Sublime Flight, checking out the Azalea Open presented by Cape Fear Games. Once again, shout out to the new Hanover Disc Golf Club for keeping this course beautiful for all of us. Please do follow us on Facebook and check us out on YouTube. We've really enjoyed giving you our best commentary from myself, Philip Bartholomew, and
Mr. Gage Stiles. That was such a good battle, both MPO and MP50. Check out the previous years for other good rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome working with you, Gage, and we'll see you guys.